The Secrets of Willowbrook. Part 1. The Meeting. In the small, serene village of Willowbrook, nestled between rolling hills and whispering woods, life moved at a slow, gentle pace. The air was always fresh, filled with the scent of wildflowers and the distant sound of the river rushing through the valley. The village had no more than a few hundred residents, most of whom lived in cozy cottages with thatched roofs and stone chimneys, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's business. It was a place where secrets were hard to keep, and yet, some secrets lingered in the shadows. Among the villagers was Lily, a 19-year-old girl with golden hair that shimmered like the sun and eyes as blue as the summer sky. She had lived in Willowbrook all her life, her family tending to the small farm they owned on the outskirts of the village. Lily was known for her kindness and beauty, but there was something else about her, something mysterious. People in the village spoke of the way she would often wander into the woods, as if she was drawn by something only she could feel. Then there was Ethan, a 20-year-old boy with dark brown hair and deep, soulful eyes that seemed to carry 1,000 untold stories. He had moved to Willowbrook only a year ago, after the sudden death of his parents. He inherited the old, abandoned cottage at the edge of the village, a place no one dared to go near. Rumors swirled around Ethan. Some said he was hiding from something, others believed he was simply a product of his tragic past. Either way, he kept to himself, his gaze often distant as if he was searching for something in the vastness of the world. Their paths first crossed on an unusually warm autumn afternoon. Lily had been picking apples in the orchard, humming a soft tune, when she noticed Ethan walking along the dirt road that ran through the edge of her family's property. It was rare for him to be in this part of the village, and something about his presence caught her attention. As he walked past, their eyes met for the briefest moment, but it was enough to send a jolt through both of them. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stand still. Lily's heart raced, her breath caught in her throat. She didn't know why, but she felt as if she had seen him before, even though she knew she hadn't. Ethan, on the other hand, felt a strange pull toward her, something he couldn't explain. "Lily," a voice called from behind her, breaking the moment. It was her younger brother, Thomas, running toward her with a basket full of apples. She quickly turned away, brushing the thought of Ethan from her mind. "Yes, Thomas? Have you seen Ethan?" "He was asking about you earlier," Thomas said, his brow furrowed in confusion. "I think he's trying to find something." Lily's heart skipped a beat. Ethan had asked about her? She had heard the rumors about him, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than the village let on. He's new here," Lily said softly, her voice trailing off as she glanced back toward where Ethan had walked. Part 2. The Secret in the Woods. The next day, the sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the village. Lily couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. The strange connection they had felt when their eyes met seemed to linger in her mind, and she found herself drawn to the woods near her family's farm, a place she often went to clear her thoughts. Today, however, the woods felt different, as if something was waiting for her. As Lily walked deeper into the forest, she noticed the quietness around her. The usual sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling seemed absent, replaced by an eerie silence. The wind had stopped blowing, and the trees stood still, as if watching her. She walked on, her footsteps muffled by the soft earth beneath her, until she reached the clearing where she often sat. Suddenly, she heard a rustling sound behind her. Her heart raced as she turned around, expecting to see a deer or some other creature of the forest. But to her surprise, it was Ethan. "Lily," he said, his voice soft and hesitant. She took a step back, surprised by his sudden appearance. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know," Ethan replied, looking lost. "I was walking through the woods when I saw you. I feel like I'm meant to be here with you." Lily stared at him, her thoughts racing. Was this just a coincidence, or was there something more to it? "Are you sure you're all right?" she asked, concern creeping into her voice. Ethan looked away, his gaze distant. "No, not really. There's something I need to find. Something in these woods, something that connects me to all of this." He paused, his eyes meeting hers. To you. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. She had heard rumors about the ancient ruins deep in the woods, ruins that were said to be cursed, hiding a dark secret. But she had never believed them. Now, standing here with Ethan, she wondered if those rumors were true. I think I know what you're looking for, Lily said, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan looked at her with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Will you help me find it? Part 3, Into the Unknown. The air in the woods seemed to grow heavier as Lily and Ethan ventured deeper. The trees towered above them, their thick canopies blocking out much of the daylight, casting the forest floor in shadows. The silence was overwhelming, broken only by the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. They walked side by side, their movements slow, as though both were uncertain of what lay ahead. Ethan's gaze was fixed on the path in front of him, his expression intense. I can't explain it, he muttered. But I feel like I've been here before, like these woods are calling to me. And I know that you're connected to this somehow. Lily glanced at him, her heart pounding. She couldn't understand it either, but something about Ethan made her want to trust him. His sadness and determination spoke to her, and though she had been raised to be cautious, there was a pull between them that she couldn't deny. They soon reached a clearing, surrounded by ancient stone walls covered in ivy. It was the remnants of a forgotten building, an old temple, long abandoned by time. The air grew colder, and Lily felt a shiver run down her spine. Here, Ethan said, his voice barely audible. He approached the stones, his hand reaching out to touch the weathered surface. This is it. This is what I'd been looking for. Lily stood back, her eyes wide with unease. The place felt wrong. There was something unsettling about it, as though the stones themselves were hiding a secret. Ethan turned to her, his face pale. Lily, I know this is strange, but I need to show you something. Something that's been hidden for centuries. Before Lily could respond, he stepped forward, disappearing behind the thick ivy that veiled part of the stone wall. A moment later, he returned, holding something in his hand. It was an old, weathered book, its pages yellowed with age, its cover adorned with intricate symbols. Lily felt a sudden unease. What is that? She asked, her voice trembling. It's a journal, Ethan said softly. A journal that belonged to someone who knew the secrets of these woods. Someone who had a connection to my family. Lily's curiosity got the better of her. Your family? Ethan nodded, his eyes dark with the weight of the revelation. My parents were researchers. They spent years studying this place before they died. I was too young to understand what they were looking for, but now, I think I'm beginning to understand. Lily took a step closer, her gaze fixed on the journal. What does it say? Ethan opened the book carefully, his fingers trembling as he turned the yellowed pages. It's about an ancient curse, one that's been placed on this village and the people who live here, he explained, his voice low and filled with an unsettling sense of urgency. It says that the curse will only be lifted when two people, bound by fate, uncover the truth about this place. Lily's heart raced. And you think we're those two people? Ethan nodded again. I have to believe it. Everything about this feels meant to be. Suddenly, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves and sending a chill through the air. Lily shivered, feeling a strange sense of foreboding. We need to leave, she said, her voice urgent. This place, it feels wrong. Ethan looked at her, his face conflicted. I know, but I can't stop now. I have to find the truth. Lily hesitated. She wanted to run, to leave the woods and never look back, but something deep within her told her that this was only the beginning. The answers were here, hidden in the darkness of the ancient stones. Okay, she whispered. But we have to be careful. Part 4, The Curse Unveiled. As night began to fall, the forest grew darker, the shadows stretching longer as the moonlight filtered through the trees. The temperature dropped, and Lily felt a chill creeping into her bones. She had never been afraid of the woods before, but tonight was different. The air felt thick with tension, as though something unseen was watching them. Ethan continued to study the journal, his brow furrowed as he read the faded text aloud. It says here that the curse was placed by an ancient order, people who lived in Willowbrook long before it became a village. They were guardians of a secret that could change everything. Lily shuddered. A secret? What kind of secret? Ethan turned the page, his fingers trembling. The journal doesn't say, but it mentions an artifact, a key, hidden in the forest. It's said to hold the power to break the curse, but only if it is found by the right person. Lily felt her heart race. And do you think that person is you? Ethan looked at her, his expression conflicted. I don't know, but I have to try. Suddenly, there was a rustling in the bushes, and both of them froze. Lily's breath caught in her throat as she strained to hear the noise. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't an animal. Someone, or something, was out there. Ethan grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the trees. We have to hide, he whispered urgently. Now. They ducked behind a large boulder, trying to remain as silent as possible. The sound grew louder, and Lily's pulse quickened. Then, out of the darkness, a figure emerged, cloaked in shadows, moving swiftly through the forest. Lily's eyes widened. Who was that? Ethan's face turned pale. I don't know, but we need to stay hidden. Part 5: The Shadows of the Past. The figure in the shadows moved closer, its step soft but deliberate. Lily's heart pounded in her chest, and she instinctively grasped Ethan's arm tighter, trying to steady herself. The figure paused for a moment, just a few feet away, and Lily held her breath, praying that they wouldn't be noticed. It was then that the figure spoke, a voice deep and gravelly, echoing in the stillness of the woods. I know you're here, the voice said, sending a shiver through Lily's spine. You can't hide from me forever. Ethan's grip on her arm tightened. We need to move, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Now. Before Lily could protest, Ethan pulled her through the dense underbrush, moving quickly and quietly. The figure did not follow immediately, but the weight of the words lingered in the air, heavy and ominous. Lily had never felt such a deep sense of dread. Whoever or whatever that figure was, they clearly knew more than they let on. As they ran through the woods, the night grew darker, and the trees seemed to close in around them, casting long, twisted shadows across the forest floor. It was as though the very woods were alive, watching their every move, guiding them, or perhaps leading them into danger. Ethan stopped abruptly, pulling Lily behind a large oak tree. He looked around, his eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of the figure. Who was that? Lily asked, her voice trembling. What do they want from us? I don't know, Ethan admitted, his face pale. But I think they know about the journal. And the key. Lily's eyes widened. The key? The one that can break the curse? Ethan nodded. I'm not sure how they know about it, but we can't let them get their hands on it. Lily was silent for a moment, processing what he had said. The curse, the journal, the mysterious figure, it was all becoming too much to take in. But deep down, she knew that they were in this together. Whatever secrets the woods held, she couldn't turn back now. We have to find the key, Lily said, her voice steady. We have to stop whatever this is. Ethan looked at her, his gaze softening. I don't want to drag you into this, Lily. You don't have to come with me. But Lily shook her head, determination lighting up her eyes. I'm already here. And I'm not going anywhere until we finish this. Ethan nodded, a flicker of gratitude in his expression. All right. Let's find that key. Part 6: The Hidden Path. The journey grew more treacherous as they ventured deeper into the forest. The trees were thick, their branches twisted like gnarled fingers, blocking out the moonlight. The only sound was the crunch of leaves beneath their feet and the occasional rustling of the wind through the canopy above. Ethan held the journal in his hand, its pages turning with great care. He seemed to be searching for something, his brow furrowed in concentration. The key, it's supposed to be hidden somewhere near the old temple, he muttered to himself. There's a hidden path, but I can't remember where it is. Lily glanced around nervously. How will we know when we find it? Ethan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned the page of the journal, his fingers tracing the faded ink as he scanned the text. Then, he stopped. Here, he said, his voice low. It says there's a stone marker. When we find it, we'll know we're on the right path. They walked in silence for what felt like hours, the darkness of the forest growing ever more oppressive. The air felt colder now, and Lily had to wrap her arms around herself to keep warm. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached a small clearing. In the center of it stood a large stone, covered in moss and ivy. Ethan approached it slowly, his eyes wide with recognition. This is it, he said, his voice barely a whisper. This is the marker. He knelt down, brushing aside the ivy, revealing an inscription etched into the stone. The letters were ancient, barely legible, but Ethan could make them out. It's in a language I don't recognize, he said, his fingers tracing the worn symbols. But it doesn't matter. The key is supposed to be hidden beneath it. With a grunt, Ethan began to push against the stone. It was heavy, but slowly, it began to shift, revealing a small hole beneath it. Lily's breath caught in her throat as Ethan reached into the hole, pulling out a small, ornate key. It gleamed in the moonlight, its intricate design unlike anything Lily had ever seen. This is it, Ethan said, holding the key in his hand. The key to breaking the curse. But as he held it up, something in the air shifted. A cold wind blew through the clearing, and Lily felt a sense of dread wash over her. She turned to look behind them, but there was no one there. Still, the feeling of being watched persisted. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the trees, low and menacing. You think you can escape the curse? It whispered. You're too late. Part 7, The Price of the Key. Lily's heart pounded as the voice echoed through the trees. She turned to Ethan, her face pale with fear. What was that? She whispered, her voice shaking. Ethan's grip tightened around the key, his knuckles white. I don't know, he muttered, his eyes darting nervously around the clearing. But I think we'd just awakened something. The wind picked up again, howling through the forest, rustling the leaves, and causing the branches to creak ominously. The shadows around them seemed to stretch, bending and shifting as though they had a life of their own. Lily felt a coldness seep into her bones. The forest had always felt like a safe place, until now. Now, it felt like a trap, and they were the prey. We need to go, Lily said urgently. We need to leave. Now. But Ethan didn't move. He stood frozen, his eyes fixed on the key in his hand, as though it held some kind of power he couldn't resist. We can't, he whispered. We can't leave until we finish this. The curse won't be broken unless we do. Lily felt a chill at his words. She had never seen him like this, so determined, so consumed by the need to solve the mystery. But the fear in her chest was growing, and every instinct in her body screamed at her to run. Then what do we do? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan slowly turned to face her, his eyes dark with a mixture of fear and resolve. We have to confront whatever is behind this. Whatever or whoever is trying to stop us. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet trembled. The trees groaned, their branches creaking as if something immense was moving beneath the earth. A low rumble echoed through the clearing, and the air grew thick with an oppressive energy. Lily staggered back, her breath catching in her throat. What's happening? Ethan, what's going on? Ethan's face was grim. The curse is awakening. It's reacting to the key. Before Lily could respond, a shadow darted across the clearing, moving too quickly for her to follow. She gasped, her heart racing as she spun around to face the darkness. Then, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, cloaked figure, its face hidden beneath a hood. The figure stepped into the clearing, its presence chilling, like a predator closing in on its prey. Did you think you could break the curse so easily? The figure's voice was deep, cold, and filled with malice. You are too late. The key is mine. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She recognized the voice. The figure was the same one they had heard earlier, the one who had been following them through the woods. She felt a surge of terror. Ethan stepped forward, holding the key tightly. No, he said, his voice firm. This key belongs to me. I will use it to break the curse, not to serve you. The figure's laugh was hollow and chilling. You don't understand, it said. The key does not belong to you. It never has. You are merely pawns in a game much older than you can comprehend. Lily's eyes darted to Ethan, her heart pounding in her chest. Ethan, we need to get out of here. This isn't right. We're in over our heads. But Ethan didn't budge. He stood tall, his gaze unwavering, even in the face of the unknown. I can't run anymore, Lily. Not after everything that's happened. We need to finish what was started. The figure stepped closer, its presence oppressive. You cannot stop what has already begun. The curse is eternal. It cannot be broken. Ethan's grip on the key tightened. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to let this curse control us. The figure raised its hand, and suddenly, the ground beneath them began to crack. The earth split open, revealing a dark abyss, deep and endless. The trees around them began to wither and die, their leaves turning black as the air grew colder. Lily gasped, stumbling backward. Ethan, we have to do something. This is getting out of control. Ethan didn't flinch. His face was set with determination. We have one chance. The key has the power to break the curse, but it comes with a price. Lily's eyes widened in shock. What price? What are you talking about? The figure laughed again, a cruel, mocking sound. The price is simple, the key must be given freely. You cannot break the curse without sacrificing something precious. And that something is what you hold most dear. Lily felt a cold chill in her chest. The price. The sacrifice. Are you ready to pay it? The figure asked, its voice dripping with contempt. Ethan's eyes never wavered. I'll pay whatever it takes. To end this, to stop the curse from claiming anyone else, I'll do it. Lily's heart twisted in her chest. She could see the determination in Ethan's eyes, but she also saw the sorrow. He was willing to sacrifice everything to end this, even if it meant losing what he held most dear. No. Lily shouted, stepping forward. I won't let you do this. But Ethan only shook his head. This is the only way, Lily. The only way to stop the darkness. The figure stepped back, a sinister smile spreading across its face. Then it is done. You have chosen your path. Suddenly, the key in Ethan's hand began to glow, a bright, blinding light that filled the clearing. Lily shielded her eyes, the light so intense she could barely stand it. The wind held around them, the air thick with power. And then, as quickly as it had begun, everything stopped. The light faded, and the clearing fell silent. The figure was gone. The trees had stopped withering. The curse had been lifted. But at what cost? Lily turned to Ethan, her heart heavy. Ethan, she whispered, her voice shaking. Ethan was standing there, his face pale, his expression unreadable. The key had vanished from his hand, its power spent. But there was something in his eyes that wasn't there before, something lost. He took a deep breath, his voice hoarse. I don't know what happened. But we did it, Lily. The curse is gone. Lily reached out to him, her hand trembling. Ethan, are you okay? He looked at her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. I think I've given up everything for this. But it was worth it. And in that moment, standing in the aftermath of the curse, they both understood. Some sacrifices were made for the greater good. But the cost of love, of fate, and of truth, sometimes, that price could never be fully paid.